Hello there, EDF friends. On this video I wanted to make a beginner's guide for people that are new to Earth Defense Force 5, because I notice there's still people starting to buy the game, so it's pretty exciting. If you're not new to this channel is mainly based on all EDF games and EDF news, so if you're interested in that, please subscribe, and I'll keep you up to date on anything new about EDF. Also, if you like these kind of videos, please consider giving them a thumbs up or commenting below. It helps more people find this channel, and it'd be very much appreciated. As far as me, I have over 3,000 hours in Earth Defense Force 5. I have over 3,000 hours in Earth Defense Force 4. And the other EDF games also I have a decent amount of hours, so I have a lot of things that I've learned over the years, I guess you could say, and I figure I'd make a video for some valuable things for you guys to know if you're new to this game. And of course, if you have any questions, please check out my channel playlist. I have everything broken down into playlists, or also comment below. I always answer any comments. So let's get started. So there's as far as this game goes, there's an online mode and an offline mode. As far as if you plan on ever playing online, I'd recommend starting playing online because the progress for your missions is separate on those two modes. So you're going to have to unlock the missions again if you play the other mode. So I'd recommend starting online if you want to play online. As far as there are 4 classes in this game. I would say, as far as the 4 classes here, I would say Ranger is probably the most challenging to play, mainly because he's a slower character. So I would recommend actually not starting with Ranger if you are new to the game. Wing Diver, of course, she can fly, and I would say she is probably the easiest to start with, easiest learning curve, and just one of the stronger characters in the game. And then Aerator. Aerator is probably the strongest in the game, but he definitely has some learning curves. He calls in bombing runs, air raids, airstrikes, just all that, and he has like turrets and support vehicles as well, support items. But very strong character this time around. And then last of all, Fencer. I would say Fencer is probably the strongest and easiest overall. However, he has probably the highest learning curve. So if you're interested in that, I would say Fencer is definitely a very, very strong character to get started with if you want to put some time into it, which I'll show you some movement for him. I have a playlist for all the 4 classes down below or in my channel. So if you want more detailed information on the classes, please check out those. As far as I have tips, guides, best weapons, etc. Alright, now as far as the classes go, I'm going to let you know what weapons to look for when you're leveling up as far as what weapons are good. And also, if you're interested in a more detailed breakdown, I have a playlist of under each of the classes where I break down every weapon and go into really high detail if you're interested in that. But this is going to be a quick overview. As far as Ranger goes, his machine guns are average, but his shotguns are very strong because the reason is they penetrate through targets, and they're very strong and have decent reload times. So I would recommend looking for shotguns. Mainly the Slaughter series is probably going to be your best shotgun for the most part. His snipers are very average, but his best snipers are going to be like the Dunkel and the KFF. His rocket launchers are pretty average, but I do like the E-series rockets, like a E20, E11. They shoot very fast, very straight. As far as missile launchers, I would recommend looking for the MEX, or the Emerald missile launchers, and the Fork missile launchers mainly. His grenade launchers are pretty average. I don't really use them too often. His grenades I rarely use. But he does have a Stampede grenade, which is pretty decent. But other than that, I really don't use too much. Maybe the level 54 napalm I use a lot, but other than that. His special weapons, the main thing to look for, his acid guns are bad except the super acid gun, level 58. His flamethrowers unfortunately are bad. His firecrackers are bad except the firecracker 0 is very strong. His bomb guns are bad, and he has good bombs. I like the C-70 bomb, or any of the C-bombs. And impulses unfortunately are bad. And then his healers are very good. He's a very good healer. So I like the reverse shooters, or the reverse bombers, because they're able to heal you and the people around you. So they seem to be more useful than the reversers themselves. As far as his items, he has decent items, very interesting items. His vehicles I don't take too often, but when I do, it's usually the Brute helicopter because it's very strong. You can even use it by yourself, just on the ground. Or his railguns are okay. His EMCs unfortunately are pretty bad, even though they're very cool. And the bikes, I mean, they're interesting, they're fast, but I don't use them too often, honestly. As far as Wing Diver goes, her first column is probably her best and strongest column, so I'd recommend, honestly, you want at least one weapon that's low energy, so you can not worry about your energy. So I like the lances. So primarily the power lance, the the triple lance, the double lance, any of those lances are very cheap and very strong. And then also if you're fighting really close range, the rapiers are very good as well. The lasers, unfortunately, are not very good at all. This column's very average. The lightning crossbow, the lightning thunderbow are very average. I don't use them too often either. The weapon you want to look for in this column is the Stardust Cannons. She has different versions of them. They're super strong. I would say overpowered, and just for their level especially as well. But there's different versions of them. Stardust Cannon for sure. Keep an eye out for these things. And the pulse guns are not too good. Her snipers, the best snipers she has is the Raijin and the monster sniper rifles. Those are the only ones I pretty much use for the most part. In this column, there's two weapons to look for. The level, where is it at? The level 15 plasma heavy cannon does 7,700 damage upgraded, and it can be even used on Inferno. So all the way down on normal to Inferno. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then also level 55 plasma great cannon is 22,000 damage. Very strong, very good. And other than that, her other ones are pretty average. The homing weapons, the best weapons in this column are the Mirage, very good for Wasp and Tadpoles, and the Geist is very good for colonists and cosmonauts. And then last of all, her special grenades. Her best special grenade, probably the most useful, is the Gleipnir. There's different versions of them. They home in on targets, you throw them. And then the Heaven's Gate isn't too bad either if you want to take out like large stationary targets. But other than that, they're all average or decent. Alright, and then on to Aerator. Aerator, his first column is not too good. I don't use it too often. His second column is probably one of his strongest columns. It's like a gun he can use that reloads very quickly, very strong. So pretty much you're not going to go too wrong in this column, except the rockets aren't too good, unfortunately. This column is very strong as well. The Phobos and the KM6 are probably his best air raids, and they're very cheap, so that's a good column. His missiles, I wouldn't say they can be useful, but not very useful. Most of the time his bombing runs and the gunships are his most used column. And then Sprite Falls are also probably another highly used column. Very good Sprite Falls and Satellite Blasters, Bulge Lasers, very good. Limpet guns are not too good. They're kind of weak compared to everything else he has, so maybe underground, but other than that, not used too often. And then last of all, stationary turrets, very, very good, very strong, and definitely want to take these a lot of missions as well. And then he has some support items which don't get used too often, honestly. You can heal people, you can defend, or give them power, so it's not terrible, but there's a time and place for him. And then last of all, a special column. He has bunkers which you can hide in and use them as shields from targets that fire you from far away. So very useful in certain situations. Pretty good. And then his suppressed gun is not used at all, and his decoys aren't used too often, honestly. As far as vehicles go, I'm not going to cover every vehicle, but for the most part, the Nyx, this column right here is probably his best column, the most well-rounded and I would say broken vehicle column right here. And then he has a Barga as well, which is a large robot, which is also something to look for. His first Barga is, what level? Looks like level 46. And then he has depth callers for underground, which are pretty good. So let's move on to Fencer now. Now Fencer, his first column is not used too often. The hammers are decent because of the high damage reduction, but not too often. His second column is his main go-to column. The jackhammer is very strong, the spine driver, and the blast hole spear, and the blast twin spear. These are very good weapons here. He has a shield which can be used in certain places and times. Autocannon column. The thing to look for in this would be the shotguns. His shotguns are very, very strong, very, very good. I definitely recommend using them. That's probably the main go-to weapon I use awful lot in this column, more than anything else. Then he has long-range like snipers and mortars. I'd say the best sniper he has is the NC cannons. He has different versions of these things. They shoot through targets and very accurate, very strong. And then his best explosive weapon is the dispersion mortar. He has different versions of them as well. And until they're leveled up, they can be kind of bad because of the accuracy, but when you get them leveled up, they're his best explosive weapon. He has different versions. Dispersion mortar, and then level 83, of course. And then last of all is missiles. His best missiles are by far the high altitude missiles. He has different versions of them, so I definitely look forward to those weapons and try and get those leveled up if possible. And then, okay, as far as that goes, that would be the main weapons I would recommend looking for while you're leveling up. And like I said, I have a detailed playlist if you're interested in each of the classes, so definitely take a look at that if you're interested for more detailed for each class. Now, when you play the game, you will receive health and weapons for all 4 of these classes. However, the class that you're playing with, you're going to receive the most amount of health and weapons, and then you receive about 25% of the armor that you received of the main character you're playing as for the other 3 characters. So they'll level up more slowly, but you still will actually have some health for them. Also, you get about 25% of the weapon drops are for the other characters as well. So it's a little bit slower, but at least you have progress for all 4 characters no matter what character you play as. So that's kind of a positive this time around. Now, when you play online, you're going to have weapon limits turned. The weapon limits are going to be set on. So what that means is, say I play mission 28 online, it'll say on the right there below the mission, it'll say you can use weapons up to level 74. So, however, if you play offline, there is no weapon limits or armor limits. There's also armor limits, as you can see, 7,204 for Inferno on this particular mission. Now what you can do is, when you look at the weapon level limits for a mission, that's going to be like a general guide of what kind of weapon level drops you're going to receive in that mission. So a little bit higher and a little bit lower of that weapon level limit number. However, there is a little bit of discrepancies based on the difficulty. If you're interested more in a detailed breakdown of how you get the exact ranges for the weapon drops, then I'll put a link down below to a video that's called How to Find All Weapons in Earth Defense Force 5. But for the most part, no matter what difficulty you're playing, like say if I change my difficulty to hard, you'll notice the weapon level limits, of course, drops lower, so it's 16. So you're gonna find weapon drops around level 16 for that mission. So if you want higher level weapons, you're gonna have to, play higher missions, because the weapon level limit will go up the higher the mission, of course. Now, as far as missions go, Earth Defense Force has always been great as far as just how long the game is. And this Earth Defense Force 5 has over 110 missions in the game, in addition to DLC missions as well you can buy later if you're interested. However, if you play offline, you're going to miss a few missions that are online only, as well as the numbering is a little bit different. However, it's relatively close, but there are a few missions, like for example, Mission 108 is not even available offline, it's online only for some reason. Now, as far as if there's a mission that you're struggling with, one thing that's very important to remember in this game is there's going to be a lot of missions where you're going to see a bunch of dropships in the background, or you're going to see a bunch of enemies out on the map. You don't need to pull all the map at once. And say you accidentally pull. Say there's like 4 dropships on the map, and say you accidentally attack near 2 or 3 of those dropships, and all those enemies come after you. The best thing you can do is just stop attacking far away from you, and just clear the enemies out that are near you. And the enemies that spawn again out of those dropships will not see you, so you can kind of regroup and heal up. Now, there's certain missions where the enemies will continue to constantly come after you, but those are few and far between. For the most part, you can just slowly and systematically take care of the missions, and take it slowly on the more difficult ones at least, and it'll help you out quite a bit. And also, there's also enemies such as the colonists, like in this picture here, or cosmonauts. These enemies are sight-based. So say you accidentally pull like 20 of them or something. You can run through buildings and run away from them, and as long as they don't see you after a certain amount of time, they'll stop pursuing you. So that's another thing, you can always regroup. So I would recommend, especially on the higher missions, the more difficult missions, just try and pull the map slowly, and try and systematically take care of the mission rather than just going all in. Most of the time that will not work for you if you are newer to the game, of course. Alright, let's briefly cover movement for Wing Diver and Fencer really quickly, nothing too detailed. As far as Wing Diver goes, I would recommend always having at least one weapon that is low energy cost, like the Lance, like I was talking about earlier, because it's very, very easy to fight with and you don't have to worry about energy. But if you ever are low on energy, the best way to get back energy for the Wing Diver is just to fly about 1 foot off the ground, and then dash, and then let go of and then just keep doing that over and over again like this. Just fly off a foot and then dash once. And this will get you back your energy pretty quickly and allow you to get away while you're getting your energy back. And then once your energy is back, of course, then you can fly normal. But that's definitely one of the best ways to get energy back for Wing Diver. Now, as far as Fencer goes, his main source of movement is going to be dashing and boosting. So, his first 2 columns are dash weapons. So you always want to take one, not always, but most of the time you want to take one weapon from this column, which usually is going to be the CC Piercers because they're the most useful. So I'm going to take a jackhammer. And then the other column you want to take, the other arm you want to take is a weapon that allows you to jump. So the jump weapons are going to be, for the most part, in the Autocannons column and the missiles column. His high altitude missiles also allow you to jump, which is pretty crazy. So I'm just going to take a dispersion mortar because that's his main. I would say either shotgun or dispersion mortar, jackhammer and shotgun. I'll always take that because that's probably the most popular of his sets. Now for his items, you want one item that gives you more dashes. So he has a dash cell. So I'm going to take his dash cell. His best one gives you 6 non-DLC, and then you want to take a boost cell, which gives him more boosts or jumps. So his best one gives him 6 as well. So this allows you to dash boost, which I'll show you how you do this. There's also an item at the bottom which has both on one item, so you can take something else if you want, but the most you get is 4 dashes and 3 boosts rather than 6 and 6. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Alright, so as long as you have the weapon with the dash on one hand and the boost on the other side, like this jackhammer shotgun here, the secondary fire of his weapon is going to be the dash for the jackhammer and the boost for the shotgun. So his main source of movement is going to be dash boost and then land. Dash boost and then land. You don't have to land, I guess, if you don't want to, but it gives you the most distance. And then dash boost. And then once you're out of dash boost, or once you're out of boost, sorry, then you want to dash 3 times, and then you'll have your boost off a cooldown, and then you do it again. Dash boost. You can do this 6 times. And that's his main source of movement. As you can imagine, it's a little bit higher learning curve, but as you can imagine, it'd be super fun being able to dash boost around enemies and just be very mobile and attack. So that's why I'd say he's definitely the strongest class in the game because of his mobility. So as you can see here, once your boost is on cooldown, you just dash 3 or 4 times, then it's back up, and you can just dash boost again. And of course, you can do it multiple times in the air if you want to, but it kind of wastes them if you know. But yeah, that's his main source of movement. Definitely want to practice that and get good at that because it's super fun. Alright, let's briefly talk about weapons really quickly. If you look at the weapons, you'll notice that there's stars next to the stats on the weapons, like this machine gun, for example. It has all those stars next to each of the stat: capacity, rate of fire, damage, and so forth. So when you first get the weapon dropped for you, it's probably going to be average stats or a little bit below average stats. But as you continue to play and get that same weapon, if one of those stats on the new weapon you get is higher than the one you have, it'll upgrade that one single stat. So your stats are never going to go down through weapon drops. They're always going to go up, or not always, but for the most part going to go up until eventually you have everything maxed out. So when it's a solid white star, it means it's maxed out, so this weapon is completely maxed out. And when it's not, it's going to be a hollow star like this on the bottom. Accuracy is 5 hollow stars, so I can still upgrade the accuracy a few more times. Relatively, the max is going to be around 8, 9, 10. Sometimes it maxes at 5 for some odd reason, but for the most part it's going to be around 8 or 9. But that's how weapon drops and stats work. If you're interested in more detail, I do have breakdown information of that in one of my videos as well. Now, as far as missions you're going to want to look for, if you want to try and get stronger weapons, the first mission you want to look for is mission 19 because it's just a bunch of red ants, so they're easy to fight because they don't shoot acid at you, they just charge at you, so this would be a good mission to try and crank up the difficulty, get some better weapons. But I wouldn't stay there. Once you get to a higher mission, the next mission I look for is mission 61 here, because, let me show you here. So on this mission, mission 61, all you're going to have is a bunch of these rolly balls here. So these enemies cannot destroy buildings, so you can just turn around and stay in this garage park and complete this mission on Inferno with no problems, with whatever weapon you have, as long as you don't have an explosive weapon to destroy your building. The enemies cannot. They'll just stay right here and you can kill them and collect all the items. The next mission you're going to want to look for is mission 80, mission 80 online. This mission is relatively simple because you're underground, so you can kind of funnel them through a doorway and kind of retreat a little bit if you need to go around corners, but it's relatively pretty simple to complete this mission on higher difficulties than you're comfortable with. So that's the next mission I'd recommend. And then 86. 86 is also another mission that's very simple to complete, whatever difficulty. Alright, for this mission, there's going to be a bunch of rolly balls that come after you the whole time, so you want to just run over here to the right side of the map, down this water. And there's a rock here that you can hide in that is completely safe, so you can play this with, you know, very low health on an Inferno, and just complete this mission. For weapons, you're going to want a weapon that shoots through targets. So you want a shotgun for Ranger, you want a Dragoon Lance for Wing Diver, you want a, for Aerator, you want that special weapon, which I said was worthless. It's only good for this particular mission. I'll show you when I get back to the main thing. And then for Fencer, you want a Flashing Spear or a Blast Hole, probably a Blast Hole Spear. So you just run down here, and the NPCs will distract while you get over here. And there's a rock over here that is completely safe. Right here, next to this waterfall. You'll see right here, right to this gap right here, you're safe. This rock will actually get destroyed and fall into the ground, but this rock right here will not. So you just want to stay in here, and you want to hold back on the left analog stick, so you're always walking backward the whole time, and then just fight. That way you won't get pushed out. I would also hold back and left, but that way you won't get pulled out of this rock. But you can fight here the whole time, and like I said, take those right weapons, and you won't have a problem. Let me show you the weapon for Aerator really quickly. Alright, for Aerator, it's a special weapon all the way to the right side. It's called the Suppress Gun. It's worthless for anything else other than that mission because it shoots through targets and it's very, very strong. So that's why I'd recommend that weapon. I also do have a farming playlist on my channel, so if you're interested in armor farming, weapon farming, for detailed strategies, you can take a look at that as well. Alright, the next thing I want to cover quickly is DLC. There's 2 different DLC packs that you can buy for this game, 1 and 2. I would recommend that they are worth buying because you get a decent amount of missions. You get about 15 missions in both those packs. And you also get about 30, I think it's 30 or so weapons, and the weapons are above level 100. So the highest weapons are below 100 in the main campaign, but the DLC weapons are 100 or higher, and they're very, very strong. So each pack has their own set of weapons, so they're also pretty interesting and pretty cool. Also, if you're interested in the detailed breakdown of the DLC weapons, just take a look at the class playlist of the class you want to look at, and I have a review of all the weapons as well. But so you get about, you know, like I said, about 30 weapons for each pack and about 15 missions each, and they're very challenging missions as well, and pretty fun missions. So if you want more than 111 missions or whatever, then I'd recommend getting the DLC packs because they're probably on sale as well. And the next thing I want to cover really quickly is there's a chat wheel. So you're going to notice when you play this game, a lot of people talk. So you press right on the D-pad. You notice you have a bunch of communications, and so there's a lot of ways to say, you know, yes or no, or greetings or hi. Like, this community is very, very communicative, and it's very cool. So people like to talk to each other, and there's a lot of stuff you can say in here, and a lot of funny things you can say too, which is kind of nice. So get used to using that, I'd say, if you play this game. Like I mentioned before, my channel covers all news, all EDF games. I do Let's Plays, I do strategies, I do breakdowns, I do everything on this game. So if you're interested, just check out my channel and the playlists I have. I try to break them down, make it easy to find. There's probably going to be a new EDF game in 2020, so look forward to that. Like I said, I'll keep you up to date on any news. And last of all, if you have any questions or comments, please comment below. I answer all the questions in the comments, and please check my playlist. So that'll be all. So I hope this was helpful to you. I just wanted to do a quick overview. So thanks a lot for watching, and remember, EDF doesn't leave a man behind, ever. And if you're interested in ways to help support the channel financially, please consider hitting the join button next to the subscribe button, or watching a few ads helps financially as well, and very much appreciated. Thanks a lot.